PWG is back, baby. One of the most unique, innovative, and fun promotions of all time is back in business and scheduled to return on Sunday, August 1st with Mystery Vortex 7. It's a company that's held in pretty high regard by most wrestling fans, and that's for a good reason. PWG has helped kickstart countless careers and bring attention to some of the best up-and-comers in the industry. It's home to numerous matches, tag teams, and rivalries that would help define the wrestling world for years to come. The company is also home to some of the most unlikely dream matches you've ever seen. Whether it's Ilya Dragunov vs Shingo Takagi or Bryan Danielson vs Necro Butcher, so many competitors locked up for the first time in this company. Excalibur's accurate, entertaining commentary builds up the atmosphere for any match he calls, and I'm so happy he gets to work with AEW on a bigger scale. PWG is a breeding ground for some of the best wrestlers on the planet, and the matches hold up to that incredibly high standard. When people think of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla nowadays, they think of countless flips and high spots without an ounce of selling. While that's occasionally true, it's also home to some of the best grappling, striking, and psychology I've ever seen. It's built on variety, and that's one of the best things a promotion can do. Pigeonholing an entire show into a specific style gets stale after a while. New Japan and WWE, and companies like PWG that are built off of getting out of the way and letting great wrestlers work their magic are bound to have some classics. With that, I'm 4 Pillars of Hell, and let's get to my top 5 matches in PWG history. Kyle O'Reilly vs Zack Sabre Jr. is nearly the exact opposite of what most wrestling fans consider to be a regular PWG-style match. This is just a straight-up mat wrestling clinic between two of the best grapplers in the industry. The seamless chain holds at the beginning are fast and complex, nowhere near the tedious and boring nature of some of New Japan's more egregious, time-stretching control segments, and they both get to flex a bit of their grappling abilities before the first strike is even landed. The first strike comes 3.5 minutes in, and this tension is paid off wonderfully when they exchange more fervent holds and harder offense. These beginning exchanges on the mat are a competition between these two of whose wrestling style is best, and the exchanges that they showcase later in this match are wonderful. O'Reilly moves into his arsenal of strikes far quicker than Sabre, giving up the grappling advantage to do more damage. There's a fun segment in this match where they exchange spinning back kicks for nearly an entire minute, and it's a bit ridiculous, but it works in the story of the match as both men are trying to outdo each other. It's an anything you can do, I can do better contest, and one of the best of its kind. As the tension ramps up in the match, Sabre specifically targets O'Reilly's arm, including an avalanche flying armbar that still haunts my nightmares to this day. This savage arm targeting ultimately leads to Sabre's downfall as he tries for another armbar only to get locked in a pump handle driver that nearly kills him. Kevin Steen's commentary is a hilarious addition to some of the bigger bombs in this match, only adding to PWG's uniquely fun atmosphere. O'Reilly's win off of a deep triangle choke proves that Sabre has what it takes to go toe-to-toe with the champion, but his mistakes cost him dearly. My favorite Battle of Los Angeles match. Roderick Strong is a wonderful heel. Hopefully everything works out for him in the Diamond Mine and he's given something great to do, but it is NXT in 2021, so I'm not really crossing my fingers. This is my favorite match of the night on one of PWG's best shows ever, Mystery Vortex 3 Rock and Sock the Nation. Roddy came out and said he'd beat Bayley in under 5 minutes, while the entire crowd exploded into boos. Roddy's such a good heel because he understands how to maintain control but also get his comeuppance whenever he gets too cocky. Mike Bailey almost beats Roderick Strong in the opening minute of this match with a quick spinning back kick. The 24 kicks Bailey gives to Roddy in the ropes only further the idea that he can beat the PWG World Champ. This match never dulls in intensity, especially from a heavily anti-Roddy crowd who chant about how bad his boots are. When Roddy gains control, he gains control hard with disgusting looking backbreakers all over the ring and the apron. Mike Bailey plays a phenomenal underdog against the world champ, firing up for snappy comebacks and trying to exploit each of Roddy's mistakes and weaknesses. The shooting star knees to Roddy's back is something you have to see to believe. This match is a beautiful mirror to Roddy's classic matches with Bryan Danielson in 2005 in Ring of Honor. In 2005, he was the hot young talent with fans completely behind him. Now he's the wily heel champion with plenty of experience who the fans love to hate. Ultimately, in another parallel to that series 10 years ago, Roddy's experience in title matches proves to be the difference maker as he's able to fire up and hit signature offense in quick succession to put the young challenger away. Sadly, Mike Bailey's issues with visas would stop him from wrestling more in the US. I saw him wrestle live in an amazing match in CZW in 2016, and I'm so happy he's allowed to wrestle in the US again. This match to me is what TLC 2 from WrestleMania 17/X7 is to most people. A ridiculously fun spot fest between three of the most entertaining teams in the world who would all go on to have great success, either individually or as a pair. One major positive going for this match is that the Bucks are detested heels by the Rosita faithful, nearly booed out of the arena multiple times. SSB in 2012 were the most over and beloved tag team out of the three, and the crowd went wild for any move they hit. Each spot in this match is bigger than the last, including an upside down ladder trap and some ridiculous superplexes and topes. Kevin Steen is mortified on commentary that these 6 men will literally tear down American Legion Post 308, and they nearly do with some of their more outlandish spots. Everybody in this match gets a chance to shine, especially the Bucks and SSB. Cole and O'Reilly are the least coordinated team throughout the match, and they're easily separated and beaten down individually. Stupefied, now known as the Dark Order's Stu Grayson, gets an incredible amount of time to shine in this match and proves how great of a performer he is every chance he's given. It goes a good amount of time at almost 25 minutes, but each team is so fast-paced and fluid that the time manages to fly by. The selling in this match, especially from the Bucks, isn't out of this world, and not everybody likes spot fests, but it really hits the sweet spot for me of fast-paced offense that keeps me entertained and looks crisp and painful. The Bucks beat down referee Rick Knox earlier in the match, causing him to bleed from the head, and when it looks like they're about to win, he throws them off the ladder and hits a suicide dive onto them in a spot I never thought I'd ever see before. Like the rest of this match, this spot is a bit divisive for fans, but for me it was a wonderful moment of comeuppance against the Bucks that always puts a smile on my face. If you're a fan of big bumps and lots of moves, I implore you to check this out. As I mentioned when talking about the Mike Bailey match, Roderick Strong is an incredible heel champion. His cowardice and crowd control are next level great, and he's just as ruthless as he needs to be to both stay a dominant champion and get the crowd unwaveringly behind his opponent. That part isn't that hard when you're wrestling against one of the most over and talented wrestlers on the entire independent scene. Zack Sabre Jr. is an incredible mat worker, and he uses his grappling skills to get early advantages against Roddy and punish him for every single mistake he makes. Sabre goes to his bread and butter of attacking the arm, not only to try and get the submission victory, but also to weaken Roddy's deadly chops and lessen his ability to lift Sabre up for his litany of backbreakers. Sabre is a wily opponent who takes Roderick to his breaking point and then some with great arm work into an arm stomp directly on the apron. That spot makes any continued limb work all the more painful, especially when it's done by one of the best limb-targeted attackers in all of wrestling. Roddy continues to fight, but his arm gives him plenty of trouble, enough to the point that a Zack Sabre Jr. PWG title victory isn't only plausible, it's imminent. The final moments in this match are some of the best in all of PWG. Yet again, Sabre is beaten by focusing too much on the arm. Sabre locks in a tight triangle choke to beat Roddy the same way he himself lost to Kyle O'Reilly last year. And instead of going for a powerbomb because his arm is so damaged, Roderick Strong drops Zack Sabre Jr. right on his head twice before stomping at his face and locking in the stronghold. It's just as brutal and heartless as Roddy needs to be to retain his title against his younger yet extremely talented opponent, and it puts Sabre over in defeat as a major star for the company over the next few years. This is one of those matches with an aura surrounding them, something incredible and unique about the match that enhances the in-ring work. Before going into this match, there are 2 pieces of context that you need to know. A, this is a match for the PWG World Championship, and B, this would be Bryan Danielson's last match in PWG before going to WWE, until a short return after his first WWE release. At the time, everybody thought this would be his last match in the company, and nobody expected the departing American Dragon to win the title, but both men put in the work to make you believe that he could win. These two also tear those moments away with brutal strikes from Chris Hero, the angry champ who constantly berates Bryan. The mat work between these two competitors is fluid, and it feels necessary to build up the high points of this 42-minute epic. Hero feels like a monster against Bryan, landing over a dozen hard elbows to the face and beating him down every chance he gets. He throws everything he has at Bryan to keep his title, none more so when Bryan goes for a dive on the outside and Hero throws a chair into him. Bryan crashes and burns spectacularly hard, but as I've said before, he's the greatest comeback wrestler of all time, and he pulls out a magical comeback in this match. It sends the audience into a complete frenzy. The audience was so drawn in, they needed to see Bryan win the PWG title in his farewell match, and I did too. No matter how talented he is, there was no way that they would put their title on a guy leaving to the WWE, right? No. PWG gave the fans exactly what they wanted. After one of the longest and most psychologically dense matches in the company's history, Bryan came out on top, with a gruesome submission hold that forces Chris Hero to tap. Bryan Danielson, the best American independent wrestler of all time, going out with his head and hand held high in victory, surrounded by his cheering and adoring fans. As far as farewell matches go, I don't know if anything can ever top this. Thank you so much for checking this video out. I'm so excited for Mystery Vortex 7, it's going to be wonderful to see one of my favorite companies back in action. Let me know what your favorite PWG matches are in the comments below. Yet again, I'm blown away by the support you've all shown me. 100 subscribers in a month may not sound like a lot, but I'm incredibly thankful for everybody who checks out my videos. It's a huge accomplishment for me, and I'm so glad you guys enjoy my content. More things are planned for the future, and I'm really excited for them. I'm 4 Pillars of Hell, tweet at me at Ethan Mac and Cheese, and have a wonderful day.